Part 1, Introduction and First Points. Have you ever felt it? That quiet, gnawing voice in your chest that whispers, "This isn't it. You were meant for more." Maybe you've drowned it out with distractions, endless scrolling, half-hearted routines, or the numbing comfort of good enough. But here's the brutal truth: every day, you're making a choice. You're either building an empire or digging a grave. And I need you to ask yourself, which shovel are you holding? Let's get raw for a moment. Empires aren't built by accident. They're forged by people who refuse to let their dreams rot in the graveyard of maybe tomorrow. You see, the grave isn't just a plot of dirt, it's the complacency that creeps in when you trade your fire for comfort. It's the resignation of "this is just how life is." But what if I told you that your empire, your legacy, your impact, your roaring, unapologetic purpose is sitting dormant inside you, waiting for one decision? One enough. One today. Your empire starts with your mindset. Not the flimsy, Pinterest quote kind, but the kind that stares failure in the face and says, "I'll bleed, but I'll outlast you." Think of the greatest builders in history: Steve Jobs, Mandela, Da Vinci. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't ask if they were ready. They declared war on average. And that's your first law: you don't need confidence to start. You need to start to build confidence. Let me tell you about Sarah. Single mom, working 2 jobs, drowning in debt. Every day felt like a loop of survival. But one night, she made a vow: "I'm either building a future for my son or burying us both in this cycle." She didn't have a plan. She had a why. She woke up an hour earlier to study coding. Failed. Tried again. Failed again. But on day 217, she landed a remote job that doubled her income. Today, she's mentoring other women. That's empire building. It's not about resources, it's about refusing to let your why die. Your second law? Clarity is power. Most people wander through life like ghosts, chasing someone else's definition of success. But empire builders carve their vision into stone. They ask, "What legacy will outlive me?" Not vague goals, bone-deep purpose. Write it down. Scream it. Let it haunt you. Because when you know your empire, every decision becomes simple. Does this move me closer, or dig my grave deeper? Let's get practical. Tonight, I want you to do 2 things. First, name your empire. Not "I want money." What does that money represent? Freedom? Security? A platform to uplift others? Second, identify one grave-digging habit. Is it procrastination? Fear of judgment? That toxic relationship draining your soul? Burn it. Today. Not tomorrow. Because empires aren't built in someday, they're built in now. Remember, every time you choose courage over comfort, you're laying a brick in your empire. Every time you cave to fear, you're tossing another shovelful of dirt onto your grave. So tell me, what's your next move? Part 2, Middle Points. Let's get one thing straight: empires aren't built on motivation. They're built on discipline, the kind that shows up when you're exhausted, when the world feels like it's crumbling, when every cell in your body screams, "Quit." Because here's the truth: motivation is a fair-weather friend. Discipline? That's your war general. And if you want to build something that outlives you, you'd better learn to march. Discipline is forged in the fire of daily choices. Think of it like this: every time you hit the gym when you'd rather binge Netflix, every time you save $10 instead of spending it, every time you choose to learn instead of scroll, you're hammering another layer of armor for your empire. But here's where most people fail: they confuse discipline with punishment. No. Discipline is love. It's saying, "I care enough about my future to suffer a little today." Let me introduce you to James. At 22, he dropped out of college to launch a tech startup. For 3 years, he lived on ramen noodles and rejection. Investors laughed. Friends called him delusional. But James had a ritual. Every morning, he'd write 2 sentences in his journal. "I am here to build." I will not negotiate with fear. 3 years later, his app revolutionized how hospitals track patient care. Was it talent? Luck? No. It was the daily hammer strike of discipline. Which brings us to your third law, adapt or die. The world doesn't care about your plans. Markets crash. Relationships fracture. Pandemics hit. But empire builders? They're like water, they shapeshift, flow through cracks, and drown resistance. Adaptability isn't about abandoning your vision. It's about refusing to let anything extinguish your fire. Take Maria. She ran a small bakery for 15 years until COVID wiped out her business. Instead of surrendering, she asked, "How can I pivot?" Within a week, she launched online baking classes. Within a month, she was shipping DIY cookie kits nationwide. Today, her revenue tripled. Maria didn't just survive, she redefined survival. That's adaptability. It's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain, with a lightning rod in your hand. Here's your homework tonight. Conduct a reinvention audit. Grab a notebook and ask, what's one skill, habit, or belief that's holding me hostage? Maybe it's clinging to an outdated business model. Maybe it's fearing new technology. Write it down. Then burn it. Literally. Light a match and watch it turn to ash. Because adaptability starts with letting go of what's already dead. Now, let's talk about resilience, the secret weapon of every empire builder. Resilience isn't about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. It's the art of taking pain and turning it into fuel. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in prison, yet he walked out and rebuilt a nation. Think of Oprah, fired from her first TV job, told she wasn't telegenic. What did they have in common? They treated failure like a comma, not a period. Let's get brutally honest, you will get knocked down. You'll face betrayal, loss, moments where the grave feels easier than the empire. But here's the secret, resilience is a choice you make in the dark. It's the decision to get up one more time than you're knocked down. It's whispering, "Is that all you've got?" to the universe. And I need you to ask yourself, what's your one more time? Tonight, I challenge you to do this. Name your pain. Write down the worst failure, the deepest hurt, the voice that says you can't. Then, next to it, write, "This is my fuel." Tape it to your mirror. Burn it into your soul. Because empires aren't built by the unbroken, they're built by the unbreakable. Part 3, Final Points and Climactic Conclusion. Let's talk about the end. Not death, legacy. Because empires aren't measured in bank accounts or Instagram followers. They're measured in echoes. What will your life echo into the future? Will it be a whisper of regret or a roar that shakes generations? This is where most people freeze. They build halfway, then stop, terrified of their own power. But not you. Not anymore. Your fourth law, vision is your oxygen. Without it, you suffocate. Empire builders don't just have a vision, they become it. Think of Elon Musk staring at Mars through a telescope of doubt. Think of Malala Yousafzai clutching books while bullets flew. Their vision wasn't a poster on a wall. It was a heartbeat. A primal scream. And that's your task, to turn your someday into a blood pact with tomorrow. Meet Alex. At 30, he was a burnt-out corporate lawyer, drowning in empty suits and emptier promises. One night, he asked himself, when I'm 80, what story will I tell? The next morning, he quit. Sold everything. Moved to Costa Rica to build sustainable schools and jungles. Was it reckless? Maybe. But today, 12,000 kids have clean water and education because Alex refused to let his vision rot in a boardroom. That's how empires outlive us. Now, let's get uncomfortable. Gratitude is your secret weapon. Not the fluffy, journaling for Instagram kind. I'm talking about ferocious gratitude, the kind that transforms scarcity into abundance. Because here's the paradox: empires are built by those starving for more, yet deeply thankful for what they have. It's not a contradiction. It's alchemy. Every morning, I want you to do this. Name 3 battles you've already won. Maybe it's surviving depression, escaping poverty, breaking a generational curse. Write them down. Screen them. Let them remind you, you are a walking miracle. Because gratitude isn't passive, it's the fire that melts resentment, the lens that turns obstacles into stepping stones. The gravedigger hates gratitude. The empire builder wields it like a sword. Final law: your empire demands evolution. The moment you stop learning, you start dying. Period. The greatest builders in history weren't geniuses, they were curiosity addicts. Da Vinci dissected corpses to master anatomy. Serena Williams reinvented her "Here's your final assignment: declare war on stagnation." Every week, consume one piece of knowledge that terrifies you. A philosophy book that melts your brain. A skill that makes you feel like a clumsy child. Why? Because growth lives in the discomfort zone. The grave? It's paved with comfort zones. So here's the truth I've been burning to tell you: you already have everything you need. The courage, the grit, the divine madness required to build something immortal. The only question left is, will you pick up the tools or the shovel? Will you spend your days constructing cathedrals or digging ditches for doubts? Go. Build. Stumble. Bleed. Rise. And when the weight feels unbearable, remember, every empire starts with one stone. One decision. One "I will." The world isn't waiting for you to be perfect. It's waiting for you to begin. Part 4, Climactic Conclusion. Let's cut through the noise one last time. This isn't about motivation. This isn't about finding yourself. This is about ownership. Every second you waste hesitating, every excuse you cradle like a lifeline, it's not just stealing your future. It's murdering the person you were meant to become. Empires aren't built by the talented. They're built by the obsessed. The ones who stare into the abyss and say, "I'll build a bridge or die trying." You think Rome cared about talent? No. It cared about grit. Hunger. The refusal to let chaos win. And right now, chaos is winning in your life. It's time to reclaim your throne. Let me tell you about Diego. At 45, he was a janitor in a Miami high-rise. Every night, he'd sketch business plans on the back of trash bags. People mocked him. Stay in your lane. But Diego had a mantra: my empire or my grave. No middle ground. 10 years later, he owns the building he once claimed. 10 years. Not 10 months. Not 10 weeks. Years of silent grind. That's the price. That's the pact. Here's the secret they won't tell you: you don't have time. The clock isn't ticking, it's screaming. Every day you delay, the grave gets deeper. But here's the miracle: you can start clawing your way out right now. Not tomorrow. Not after one more scroll. Now. Your empire isn't a someday. It's a today. It's the email you send after rejection. The 5 a.m. run when your legs feel like lead. The no you turn into next. It's not glamorous. It's not viral. It's sweat, sacrifice, and the stubborn belief that you will not die with your music still inside you. So what's it gonna be? Are you a builder or a beggar? A warrior or a ghost? I don't care if you're scared. I don't care if you're broken. Scared is good. Broken is honest. But weakness? That's a choice. And today? Today you choose differently. Here's your final order: burn the boats. Delete the apps draining your soul. Block the voices selling you mediocrity. Walk into the wilderness of your potential with no escape route. Because empires aren't built by people with backup plans. They're built by the ones who say, this ends here. This ends now. Go home tonight and ask yourself, what's my boat? The relationship keeping you small? The job murdering your spirit? The addiction to pity? Burn it. All of it. And when the smoke clears, you'll see it, the raw, unfiltered you. The one who doesn't need permission. The one who was born to build. You've heard the truth. You've felt the fire. The rest? The rest is yours. Build messy. Build scared. But build. And when you stumble, because you will, remember this, the greatest empires in history weren't forged by perfect people. They were built by relentless ones.